Thank you. The honourable member for Innisfail-Sylvan Lake, followed by Calgary-Buffalo.
Mr. Speaker, last week the Associate Minister of PDD dodged questions on the supports intensity scale. Families and providers that work with SIS cannot understand why people with developmental disabilities must be asked questions that ask them to compare the assistance they require to that of regular people in order to assess the supports they receive. The Associate Minister has had all weekend to think about this and the effect of these demeaning questions. Will he respect Albertans and put an end to this line of questioning immediately?
Hear, hear. Honourable Associate Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this government is committing to delivering the highest quality of services for all Albertans. SIS is just a tool which is used to measure and do a baseline assessment of individuals so we can deliver services, consistent services, right across the province. In PDD, Mr. Speaker, we serve 10,700 people, of which 97% SIS assessments have been completed, so we can deliver consistent services right across the province.
Thank you. First supplemental.
So clearly the minister is not going to stand up for people with developmental disabilities. The Associate Minister keeps saying that the supports intensity scale is only one tool used to determine funding. In practice, this simply is not true. It is the only tool.
That's correct.
Can the Associate Minister explain to Albertans who are challenging your statements day after day what other tools your ministry is using to determine funding in the PDD system? And geographic area is not a tool, it is a factor, Minister.
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, SIS measures individuals in 9 different themes and in 85 different categories. The reason for doing that assessment is to measure their needs, their goals, their aspirations right across the province so we can meet their needs. When it comes to funding, Mr. Speaker, SIS is just one of the tools which is used to have a baseline assessment for consistent services. Their existing natural supports play a role, geographical location play a role, and most importantly, once again, Mr. Speaker, their needs.
Thank you. Final supplemental.
Mr. Speaker, clearly the Associate Minister does not understand that SIS is demeaning and it is humiliating, and 97% of the people have had to go through a demeaning and a humiliating process, and this Associate Minister has defended that process all the way along. Mr. Speaker, what other tools does this government, this ministry have to assess funding for people with developmental disabilities over and above SIS?
Mr. Speaker, before selecting the SIS, it went through a rigorous process. There were a number of different options which were available. At the time, we had community boards. We had the CEOs of the community boards. A number of different options were provided to them. This is an international tool used by 14 different countries, Mr. Speaker. In terms of the funding, as I stated in my previous answer, their natural supports play a role, their geographical locations play a role, and all of this, Mr. Speaker, their needs, their goals, their aspiration is the center of all that, Mr. Speaker.